Good evening, everyone. My name is Katrina Bound, and welcome to the 139th commencement ceremony of the Hornell High School for the class of 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and remove your hats to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may now be seated. I want to start by thanking everyone for coming. We all have an understanding of how hard times have been lately, and I want to thank you guys today for coming at this time to watch our seniors graduate. Because of COVID-19, we missed out on a lot of things we've been waiting for since we first in the high school. So it would be an understatement to say how ecstatic we are to at least be here today for our own graduation. And even though we did miss out on a lot, there's still a whole world out there waiting for all of us. This is such a small, yet important part of our lives, and we just gotta keep moving on and prosper. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce Mr. Carter Ling, Class of 2020 Co-Salutatorian.
Thank you, Katrina. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here, and I'd like to thank you all for coming. Over the past 13 years, the class of 2020 has grown and grown. While I was at North Hornell School for golf practice last year, I noticed how small the furniture was. I can't imagine how we ever fit in those seats and how we didn't hit our knees on the desk we were sitting at. I remember seeing crisscross applesauce on the carpet and listening to Mrs. Wolver and Mrs. Curran reading us stories. Since then, we've grown physically, but more importantly, we've grown mentally. We've become far more independent. We've done good things and we've done some bad things. We've made great choices, we've made terrible choices. We've done things perfectly and we've made some devastating mistakes. However, there's nothing wrong with that. I say we need to make these mistakes while we're young instead of making them in the real world. School is a tutorial to life. It's where you figure out what types of actions are rewarded and which types of actions are punished. One of the main things you learn as a high school student is how to procrastinate. It's very easy to procrastinate. All you have to do is nothing until the very close to the deadline. Whether it's in study hall, lunch, or it's the night before and a big paper is due the next day, a deadline can make work go a lot faster. Along with most seniors, I've been self-diagnosed with a condition commonly referred to as senioritis. My work has seemed to become more boring, partially due to the fact that class ranks were decided in February, and also because the fun of school has been taken out because of coronavirus. I was informed that I had to give a speech a month ago, perhaps two. However, I still managed to wait until Tuesday, 3 days ago, to finish this speech. If I had it my way, I would have finished it until last night, but Mr. Carroll wanted them done by Tuesday. Perhaps that's a good thing, because since Tuesday, I've had time to give this speech to my dog, my sister, my parents, the mirror, and the wall. A lesson I've learned from high school is that there's no better inspiration than a due date. In 6th grade, we were given our first ounces of freedom. We no longer had to walk to our next class with our teacher. Then in 7th grade, we gained a lot more freedom. We were given unique schedules. Almost every high school schedule is different. We weren't forced to sit boy, girl, in the cafeteria. We didn't have silent lunch. We didn't have to raise our hand in order to throw our trash away. And we didn't have to wait before we got up to get our food. We ate lunch with people who weren't in our grade, and we intermingled with those people, something we had never done before. Some of us were given more independence if we had an honors pass. We were allowed to have double lunch, and we were allowed to leave 10th or 11th period or whatever it was that year. However, school isn't the only place we gain more independence. We're allowed to stay up much later. We learn to cross the street by ourselves, to ride a bike without training wheels, and almost all of us have a driver's license or at least a permit. Our parents trust us more than they used to because we've grown and proven ourselves to them. However, whatever they let us do never seems like enough. Receiving independence made us desire more of it. We pushed it to the limits. Although most of us like our parents and do almost anything for them, besides doing the dishes or taking the trash out, it'll be exhilarating not to have them breathing down our necks during college. We'll be able to do almost anything we want without having to ask for permission. Speaking of my parents, I'd like to thank them for everything they've done for me. They've been there for me every step of the way, and there's no way I could have done it without them. I'd also like to thank them, along with the rest of my friends and family, for putting up with my terrible puns. I'd like to thank all my teachers for teaching and guiding me throughout my education. I'll always remember the unforgettable teaching conventions my teachers had, such as the sound effects in Mr. Kelleher's PowerPoints, which always seemed to make someone jump, Mr. Werner's inventive rhymes, and Mrs. Franklin's amusing and eccentric way of teaching. We've been in school for the past 13 years, well, 12 and a half if you take recent events into account, and we've certainly learned a lot. Phonics and addition to multiplication and the Iroquois nations, all the way up to atomic structures, derivatives, and the Oregon Trail, we've certainly been taught everything there is to know about the main subjects. However, the one thing our school teachers didn't teach us is about life. The best teacher of life is life itself and the experiences it gives you. I learned to ride a bike because I fell off. I didn't want to keep falling, so I practiced it, and I figured it out. I learned to wear a raincoat because I got soaking wet. The only thing we haven't learned is not to wear shorts during winter. If we didn't learn from our mistakes, nobody would get better at anything. If I get something wrong on a test or my homework, I figure out why I got it wrong. I don't like to waste my time, and if I don't fix my mistakes, then that's all school is, just a waste of time. If a player misses a shot, or if a team loses a game, what do? They practice. They try to see where they went wrong and fix it so it doesn't happen again. As human beings, we should aspire to do the same and improve wherever we can. I'd like to emphasize the impact of a positive mindset on our lives. Throughout life, good things happen and bad things happen. Instead of accepting the bad things, try to look at the bright side. Perhaps you can use catastrophe to your advantage. Lots of people have been very disappointed this year because we haven't been in school since March, our prom was canceled, and spring sports were canceled. However, 2020 has been the year of our dreams. First of all, we've had the best senior skip day in the history of mankind. We managed to cancel final exams for most of the school, and the few final exams that we had were shorter and easier. I'd like to thank the class of 2020 for helping to execute our skip plan and have such an impact on the world. This brings me to my last point. Throughout all of school, we've been taught that failing is the worst case scenario, that we should make sure we don't fail at all costs, and that passing is the ultimate goal. However, in life, that's not the case. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates weren't born computer experts. They experimented and they messed up. They didn't get it right the first time, nobody does. They made an attempt and they failed. They made another attempt and they experienced another failure. They repeated this process until they succeeded. If they had never failed, then they wouldn't ever have learned anything about computers. They never would have been able to progress further if they didn't have their failures to learn from. Don't let failures feed your frustration. Let them feed your determination. Fail early on so that you become smarter and smarter so that you're more experienced in the future. If you take easy classes, sure, your GPA might be high, but is it really worth it if you didn't learn anything from it? Don't waste your life taking the easy path. The easy path is a waste of time. Take the difficult path and learn from it. Make mistakes so you won't make them later. Learn from your mistakes and apply them to your life. And don't mess up your life because that's the most important thing. Not your grades, not how popular you are, your life. Nobody will remember your GPA from high school or college. In 5 years, nobody will care about what your class rank was. In fact, it doesn't say anything about you, only your competition. The world is so much bigger, and you shouldn't worry about comparing yourself to other people because no one can be the best at everything. Instead, measure your growth. Ask yourself, have I improved? If you can answer yes to this question, then you are and will continue to be successful in life. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to welcome our fellow classmate and co-salutatorian, Miss Emma Fleitz.
Thank you, Carter. Hello, everyone. First, I want to acknowledge the elephant in the room. I'm sorry that we didn't get to experience our senior year the way we had hoped. It's crazy to stand up here and look out at all of you, 6 feet apart, masks, and unfilled stands. Although I'm heartbroken that we couldn't all be together, it's almost ironic that we're in separate groups. Our class was divided in the beginning, as it is now in our final stretch. Half of us went to North Hornell, and half of us went to Bryant. I went to Bryant and remember the small rivalry between us and the North Hornell kids. We were so mad that they copied our playground. None of us realized that one day we would be, quote, all in this together. This year shouldn't define our whole Hornell schooling experience. I, like many at HHS, have attended this district since the beginning. When I was thinking about what I should say to all of you, especially with our current situation, the phrase, thank you, persisted. In primary school, we had to follow the line leaders. We had to flip cards if we didn't behave. We had recess every day. We were the first to start learning Chinese. We had excellent teachers that took care of us in our most vulnerable time in life. Thank you to them. In middle school, we threw berries at the school's walls in the courtyard. Chelsea Freeland had us doing push-ups for her gymnastics boot camp, and Vivi Spatunik fell off the monkey bars and had to be taken away in a wheelchair. We had Dodger Day, we went to James Street, and we had a scavenger hunt in Crosby Creek. We had swim class in the old pool, we took our first state test, and we got to go home one time when the heat turned off in the middle of winter. We were the first to experience the sports balls, and we were the first to have recess taken away from us. We had teachers who put up with our attitudes and cared for us as their own. Thank you to them. In high school, we had assemblies, games under the lights, and the zoo. We had regents and finals and papers. We learned how to flip our 20s in 2017, which, for anyone that doesn't know, was when a motivational speaker came in to talk to us and also flex on the boys with huge biceps. Her teachings about optimism and resilience, ironically again, came in handy. We were the first to have our school year shut down due to COVID-19. Luckily, we had teachers who handled it with grace and scrambled to make online learning a reality. They consistently checked in with us and showed us their undying devotion. Thank you to them. This entire speech is more or less a big thank you note, as it should be, because if it weren't for the following people, none of us would be sitting where we are today. Thank you to Mr. Pilati and administration for trying your best and for letting us have an in-person graduation. It's not the one we envisioned, but nonetheless, it's appreciated. To Mrs. Keeley for the tremendous amount of time and effort you've put into our class. You've organized every fundraiser and event, always going above and beyond. She was on the ladder hanging streamers for our junior prom, and she was plastering the sidewalk with chalk for homecoming week. Not only would she help us formulate a plan, she would guide us to the end and then put in the sweat equity to see the job carried out. Enough cannot be said about everything she has done for our class. To Mr. Kelleher for stepping up to the plate to aid Mrs. Keeley in directing our senior year. In the short time you were our advisor, you did a lot for all of us. To Mr. DeMarco, Mr. Egg, and Mr. Berardi for challenging me with works from Shakespeare, Harper Lee, Alice Walker, and so many others. Even though I hated writing essays, it's an extremely useful skill that I've already used on numerous occasions. You mastered the art of teaching us about life and literature at the same time. To Mrs. Mendel and Mrs. Nasca for making numbers relevant in real life. I know I'm going to need to utilize your advice and have an airtight financial plan, as I'm going to be broke for the foreseeable future. To Mrs. Flint for being absolutely wonderful. From Leah accidentally calling the police, to getting us ice cream, to pushing me to get a 4 on the AP exam. AP Chem was one of the most challenging, yet most enjoyable classes I've taken. I'll make sure to, quote, put my positive pants on in college. To Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Keeley for teaching us a new language and culture. Not many can make even the preterite tense a breeze. To the custodial staff, cafeteria workers, maintenance crew members, secretaries, and so many more. We greatly appreciate your service and understand that you all are the foundation of our school. From keeping our school clean and safe to never letting us go hungry, we recognize your hard work. To our community for congratulating us and praising us, for making sure we know that we are supported and encouraged. Your generosity with scholarships and donations is unmatched. To Mrs. Johnner for everything. You consoled me when I missed the soccer bus. You gave me a pair of socks when I forgot them for track practice. You let me sit with you in your office after my clinical rotations. Not only have you done so much for me, your kindness has impacted everyone in the school. You were always there to offer someone a piece of candy when they were having a bad day. You were one of the best HHS had to offer. The intermediate school is lucky to have you. To my mom for being the best study partner. This year she studied 1,419 flashcards with me. Every time I do well on a test after reviewing with her, she said I owed her food. I think this year I end up owing her 12 dinners and 4 desserts. I can pay this debt off in just 12 short years when I complete my residency and start making the good money. To my dad for his, quote, unbelievable genetics and staggering intellect, and for bringing me snacks every time I was up late studying. To my sisters, Anna and Lainey, for studying Spanish with me because Mom was terrible at it, and letting me literally and figuratively receive and pass the baton off to you guys. And finally, to all parents, for loving us and raising us. I know many times it wasn't easy, but you've shaped us into the people we are today, and we can never repay you. Our class has excelled academically, athletically, and artistically. Our class is full of future nurses, engineers, cosmetologists, accountants, cybersecurity officers, business owners, social workers, military personnel, and workforce members, to name a few. I know the future is bright with my classmates in charge. I know that this year isn't at all what we planned, but there's some comfort in knowing that our class is one for the history books. Even though it feels like the end, it's only the beginning. Once a Raider, always a Raider. Thank you for everything, HHS. It is now my honor to invite to the podium Miss Vivian Spatunik to present the Maple Leaf Yearbook dedication.
Thank you, Emma. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for all being here today to celebrate the senior class of 2020. My name is Vivian Spatulnik. This year I had the pleasure of being editor-in-chief of the 86th edition of the Maple Leaf Yearbook. I was honored to work with and beside an awesome advisor and dedicated staff who shaped this edition into an embodiment of the class of 2020. Every year, the senior class votes to select an individual from the faculty and staff of the Hornell City School District to dedicate the yearbook to. Though many things have changed this year, one thing that didn't change was the yearbook being dedicated to an individual who holds a special place in many seniors' hearts. This year we have dedicated the yearbook to an individual who has been working in the Hornell City School District for over 20 years. She grew up in the small town of Canisteo and graduated from Canisteo High School. She married her high school sweetheart in 1982 and is a very proud mother and grandmother. When she has not spent time with her family, she is busy brightening the days of all students. Her passion for working with and helping students is inspiring. Throughout the years at Hornell High School, she has truly shown students what it meant to be a caring and kind person. Anyone who knows her knows she would go above and beyond to do anything she could to make a student's day better. She has watched our senior class blossom from 7th graders to seniors ready to conquer the world. And I wholeheartedly believe if the class of 2020 approaches the world with a quarter of the kindness, love, and passion for others the way she does, the world will be a better place. Her selflessness with no expectation of it being acknowledged is why this is such an honor for the yearbook and senior class to dedicate the 86th edition to Mrs. Barbara Johnner. We see you and we appreciate all you've done throughout the years. It is now my honor to present you Sophia Credo.
Thank you, Vivi. I would like to start off by saying that although this has not been the senior year, nor the graduation that any of us had expected, we are grateful that we are able to come together as the Hornell High School Class of 2020 one last time in person with our parents present. A huge thank you to our administration for tirelessly working to ensure that tonight would be possible. Melody Beattie once said, "Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow." Each thank you that I will share has instilled a passion inside me that has built me into the person that I am today and will help me continue to grow. First, I would like to thank my coaches for teaching me to never remain comfortable with where I am. Through my coaches, I learned to always strive for greatness through hard work and dedication to the sport. A special thank you to Mr. Marco for always testing my boundaries and believing in me. I will forever hear turnover ringing in my ears. Next, I would like to thank my teachers. The majority of the population seems to assume that the only integral years of a student's schooling is the Final Four. Although important, I believe that the first years of schooling set each student up for success. From learning to absorb the world around you through lessons and actions to admitting that you're in the wrong and apologizing for your mistakes, my early years of schooling were the foundation that anchored my academic career. Throughout the rest of my years at Hornell, I learned numerous lessons, both academically and in life. Mr. Pryor taught me that there is no limit to the amount of fun that can be had at school, to always be honest, and to make every day exciting. From Mrs. Flint, I learned that tidiness is the key to keeping track of your work. You can never have too much homework. and that chocolate can fix any bad day. Mr. Kozak taught me that physics can be fun, the ins and outs of space and black holes, and that dimes should never be picked to run an experiment if it involves an egg. Thirdly, I would like to give a huge thank you to all of my friends. Whether it was on the field or in a social setting, my friends always had my back no matter what, even if I may have been wrong. Each and every one of them taught me the importance of loyalty and the strength in numbers. Also, a special thank you to Connor for teaching me that life does not have to be so serious all the time and to appreciate what you have. Finally, I would like to give my biggest thank you to my family. For my mother and father that have been my biggest fans since day one and never failed to see the greatness inside me, and for my two sisters that have taught me the importance of patience and can always put a smile on my face. But most importantly, I would like to thank my family for their fierce and unwavering love and support for me throughout my life. As we all know, our time at HHS was unexpectedly cut short. In light of this, throughout high school, I have found numerous little things that have made each of my days complete, such as early mornings with Caitlin parked in our spots, packed lunches with my mother's little notes, late night soccer practices under the lights, fun experiments with Kodak, Dominic's Snapple Tops, coloring in the library, Leah's amazing singing, Mrs. Flint running down the hall to make copies, Tanner and Connor throwing snowballs at me in the parking lot, the zoo, late night FaceTimes trying to figure out our homework, hard runs with DeMarco, talking about my day over family dinner, walking out the doors after school when it's a beautiful day, Mrs. Franklin's energy when we walk into class, Friday night football games, long bus rides when the whole team is laughing, and countless others. Each of these small encounters that I experienced every day are something that I will never get back. I will never walk out the doors of Hornell High School again. I will never get to see all of my teachers on a daily basis again. I will never get to sit at a lunch table with all of my friends, laughing until my stomach hurt for one last time. These are all things that I had never truly thought were that important to me, but now I realize that they are more important than ever. Although I had never wished for these tough times to fall upon us, it has made me realize how important and special all the little things found in our everyday lives were and are for me. These little things made each day at school and at home normal for me. If I walked into Mrs. Franklin's room and she wasn't excited to teach calculus, I would know that something is wrong. If I didn't get to have family dinner, I would be amiss. The fact that I am so connected to these little and regular interactions and things has made me recognize how much I appreciate what I have and wish that I had appreciated it more before. Before this pandemic, it seemed that everyone was caught up in the big issues in the future. Everyone's focus was rarely on the here and the now. Once the coronavirus hit, we were all forced to sit back and take a look at what we missed while focusing on the bigger things in life. These times have made us truly appreciate what we have and what we've got to lose. I am confident in saying that the students of HHS never would have thought that they would miss going to school, working out at gyms, attending practices, or simply walking into a store without a mask. Therefore, I leave you all with this. Take the lessons of these last few months and carry them with you throughout your life. Robert Brault once said, "Enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realize they were the big things." Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce our principal, Mr. Carroll, who will state the presentation of awards.
Thank you, Sophia, and congratulations once again on being named the Class of 2020 valedictorian. At this time, I would be remiss if I didn't mention some important people who have helped our students and graduates get to this point. I'd like to give a big round of applause to all the parents, grandparents, and guardians for all you have done for the students seated behind me tonight. Thank you. Take a look on your iPhone and any push news notifications, media outlets in print or on TV. With all that's going on in the world today, I would ask each of you graduates on a daily basis to choose to be kind, generous, and never feel entitled. Kindness will take you a very far way in life. Before we present the generous monies of our community, roughly around $200,000. Over $130,000 from our Hornell Alumni Association and over $60,000 from our local municipalities, banks, and organizations. It's crazy every single year how much we support and rally around our students. So thank you very, very much. I would now like to take a few moments to talk about the students and in approximately an hour, maybe less, graduates of Hornell High School. Beyond a responsibility to ourselves and to those immediately around us, we all have a responsibility to society. We have a responsibility to a higher power, and we have a responsibility to contribute something, however small, to the greater good of mankind. Many of you have begun this transition, have taken on responsibilities beyond these walls. For instance, some of you have chosen the very heavy responsibility of protecting our nation by serving in our armed forces. Will Devin Price, Brennan Demersman, Ryan Drake, and Colby Spangenberg please stand and be recognized? I think all of them are in the first one and the last one, so either way, they should still be recognized, so that's why I wanted to say them. We thank them for burdening the heaviest of responsibilities. Some of you students have taken on leadership roles representing classmates and advocating for their rights. Will the senior class officers, members of student government, club officers, and captains of your respective sports teams please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Others of you have shown responsibilities in your studies, achieving the highest of standards of our academic system. Will our 28 National Honor Society members please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Will our 28 honor graduates please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Will our 20 members of the Business and Marketing Honor Society please stand and be recognized? Will the 13 members of the National Technical Honor Society please stand and be recognized? And will the 6 members of the National Art Honor Society please stand and be recognized? And we have 1 Eagle Scout that will graduate in Group 3, but I would like to recognize Matthew Oyer for being the lone Eagle Scout of class of 2020. And let's not forget those who took on responsibilities not only in their studies but also in employment, balancing your academics and your job, therefore sitting by us today. With those who have balanced academics while also holding down a job, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Graduates, at this time is usually when our guest speaker would be introduced, stand here at the podium, and give their commencement speech. Mr. William Burke, retired Rear Admiral from the Navy and current Chief Maritime Officer, gives his best. Would like to have done a virtual graduation, but talking to the class officers and advisors, we really wanted someone here in person. Therefore, at this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Jeremy Pilati, Superintendent of the Hornell City School District, for the presentation of diplomas.
Good evening. The students seated before us have met the requirements for high school graduation as set forth by the New York State Board of Regents, as well as by the Hornell City School District Board of Education, and are entitled to the benefits therein to receive their academic diplomas. It is my honor to present to you the Hornell High School graduating class of 2020. Could I have Mrs. Carrie Davis, Board of Education President, Dr. Meir, Board Member, would you please join us in the presentation of diplomas?
Sophia J. Credo. Sophia graduates with a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation with Honors and a Math and Science distinction. She's also the recipient of the Hornell Alumni Association grant in memory of Mary Eileen Gleason Connors, 56, Class of 1964 grant, Class of 1966 grant, the 2020 Stephen G. Terry Track and Field Award and Scholarship, the Alfred Hornell American Association of University Women, the G. Carducci Lodge Scholarship, and the Hornell Educators Association Scholarship Fund. Carter James Ling. Carter graduates with a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation with Honors and a Math and Science distinction. Carter is also the recipient of the 2020 Joseph Ferrioli Science and Humanitarian Award, the 2020 Hornell High School Alumni Grant and Aid, the Hornell Educators Association Scholarship Fund, and Elizabeth Rose Bish Memorial Scholarship Fund. Emma Catherine Flights is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation with Honors and a Science distinction. Emma is also the recipient of the Hornell Alumni Grant in memory of Joseph N. Picarillo, 46, Zachary D. Smith, 2008 Memorial Grant given by family, friends, and classmates, Meyer, 42, and Margaret Peg Spatulnik Memorial Grant given by Daniel, 83, and Vanessa Johnson Spatulnik, 92, and children, Livingston County Athletic Association Scholarship, and the Hornell Educators Association Scholarship Fund. Trevor Jackson Fisher is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation and Math and Science distinction. Trevor is also the recipient of the Hornell Alumni Association grant in memory of Byron A. Byron Collins, MD, and Bessie Ellis Kelleher Memorial Grant. Aurora Patricia Foreman. Aurora is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation and a Science distinction. Aurora is a recipient of the Hornell Alumni Association grant in memory of Donald C. Kohler and class of 1966. Chase Robert Freeland. Chase is a recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. He's also receiving the Hornell Alumni Association grant in memory of Richard R.X. Curran, 51, and Robert C. Young, 39, scholarship grant by the family. Chelsea Ann Freeland. Chelsea is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. She's also the recipient of the Gunther Scholarship Fund and HHS Alumni Grant and Aid. Noah John Michael Fuller. Noah is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. He's also the recipient of the Dr. Mary Ann Robinson Mercier, PhD 66 Memorial Grant given by her husband, Richard Mercier. Good job. Ashley Ann Gillette. Ashley is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation, and she's also the recipient of the Henry Gunther 28 Grant and Mary Eileen Gleason Connors 56 Memorial Grant. Mackenzie Noreen Hall. Mackenzie is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. She's also the recipient of the class of 1970 celebrating 50 years a Hornell Alumni Association grant in memory of John P. Pollinger, Ph.D., 77, and the Women of the Moose Chapter 620 and Loyal Order of the Moose Lodge 210. Sorry, I didn't wait for you. Leah Crete Harkenrider. Leah is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation with a Math and Science distinction. She's also the recipient of the Zachary D. Smith 08 Memorial Grant, Ernst H. Wyand Memorial Grant, and Richard Harris II 2000 Memorial Grant. Joshua James Hafey. Joshua is the recipient of the Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. He is also a recipient of the 2020 HHS Alumni Grant in Aid. Liam Hendrickson Swan. Liam is a recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation with Honors and a Math and Science distinction. He is also the recipient of the Hornell Alumni Association grant dedicated to the class of 2020. Owen Mackay House. Owen is a recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation and a CTE endorsement. He's also the recipient of the Kathy Vashina Terrell Salzman 66 Memorial Grant given by Dr. and Mrs. Salvatore Vashina, Mary Eileen Gleason Connors 56 Memorial Grant, class of 1970, celebrating 50 years. Deanna Ann Jacobs. Deanna is a recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. She's also the recipient of the Wilson W. Sick Jr. 51 Grant. Kayla Eileen Kuhn. Kayla is the recipient of a CTE endorsement. She's also the recipient of the Henry Hank Gilio Memorial Grant by Clarence and Debbie of Bradley Supply and 2020 HHS Alumni Grant and Aid. Tadra Ann Lackey. Tadra is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. She's also the recipient of the Henry Gunther 28 Grant, Dorothy Dottie Daniels Ryan 69 Memorial Grant, and Elderwood of Hornell Scholarship Grant. Susanna Schumann Lang. Christos Vorsilis Matamopoulos. Christos is a recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation with Honors and also has a Science Distinction and a CTE endorsement. Christos is also a recipient of the 2020 Steuben Trust Company Scholarship Award and 2020 HHS Alumni Grant in Aid. Derek Michael McCumsky. Derek is a recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. He is also the recipient of the Trooper Lawrence P. Gleason 91 Memorial Grant, Fagnan Family Class of 1959 Grant, Richard Harris II 2000 Memorial Grant, and Kurt Bertram, 99 Memorial Grant. Viviane Margaret Patulnik. Viviane is a recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation, as well as the Hornell Alumni Association Grant in memory of Terry L. Bertram, 68, Stephen G. Terry, 77 Memorial Grant, Class of 1966 Grant, Class of 1970, celebrating 50 years, and the Hornell Educators Association Scholarship Fund. Katrina Sky Bound. Katrina is a recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation, as well as the Janice J. Whitman Raish 74 Memorial Grant given by Nancy Whitman, 65, Mary Whitman Walden, 69, and Tiffany Tyler, 98, and the Maple City Development Corporation Grant. Riley James Flights. Riley is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation and a CTE endorsement. Morgan Elizabeth Fox. Morgan is the recipient of a CTE endorsement. Mitchell Eugene Freeland. Isaiah David Garcia. Callie Faith Gilio. Callie is a recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. She's also the recipient of the William 37 and Grace Coogan Daly 41 Memorial Grant, Dr. Richard B. Johnson 40 Memorial Grant, the Poulos and Roselle Scholarship Grant, and the Women of the Moose Chapter 620 and Loyal Order of the Moose Lodge 210. Olivia Rose Gilio. Olivia is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. Michael Allen Grove. Michael is the recipient of a CTE endorsement. Lillian Nicole Haley. Lillian is a recipient of a CTE endorsement. Ariana Elizabeth Hanchett. Ariana is a recipient of a CTE endorsement. Autumn Rose Harding. Autumn is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. She is also the recipient of the William 74 and Mary Malik Burke 76 grant. Chloe Elizabeth Hartman Wing. Chloe is the recipient of a CTE endorsement. Tyler D. Hawks. Tyler is the recipient of a CTE endorsement. Chloe Michelle Ilgis. Chloe is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. She is also the recipient of the W.N. and Mildred Clark Pryor Memorial Grant, the Esther McAnany Memorial Grant given by family and friends, and Meyer 42 and Margaret Peg Sputulnik, Memorial Grant given by Daniel 83 and Vanessa Johnson Sputulnik 92 and children. Trayvon J. Jacobs. Trayvon is a recipient of a CTE endorsement. Landon Michael Jones. Landon is the recipient of a CTE endorsement. Emily Lieback. Brendan David McDermott. Brendan is the recipient of a Regents Diploma with Advanced Designation. Ryan Nichols McGregor. Ryan is the recipient of a CTE endorsement. Christian Nathaniel Miles. Christian is the recipient of a CTE endorsement. Zachary Tyler Miles. Zachary is the recipient of a CTE endorsement. Ethan Powell Miller. Ethan is the recipient of a CTE endorsement as well as the Rudolph and Grace Schneider Memorial Grant. Alexander Leo Mills. Alexander is a recipient of a CTE endorsement. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I now present to you the Hornell High School graduated class of 2020. At this time, I would like to welcome to the podium Ms. Leah Harkenrider, President of the Hornell High School Class of 2020.
Hi everyone, my name is Leah Harkenrider and I'm the class president for the class of 2020. I'd first like to thank the administration and their efforts to accommodate our needs while also adhering to the restrictions set in place due to COVID-19. I would also like to thank all the teachers who have continuously motivated us to do our best and pushed us to successfully get to this point in our high school careers. Thank you to all the parents in the community for the tremendous support and love you all have shown us during these unprecedented times. This virus was an eye-opener. Us seniors have learned so much due to the amount we have lost. We now know more than ever not to take anything for granted because anything can be taken away from you without warning. It truly is heartbreaking that we will not be able to have one last prom or assembly, but we have grown so much from this experience. During our high school career, we have made so many memories and friendships that last a lifetime. Some memories some may note are our bus rides with our teammates, the zoo during sporting events, homecoming week, getting together with clubs, our gym class heroes, endless laughs with friends, and most importantly, the constant memories that were always being made. Although we didn't get the senior year that we have always dreamed of, we are part of something so much more. We are living through a worldwide pandemic and have witnessed a revolutionary movement for Black Lives Matter. We are part of history and not many other senior classes can say that. If there is one thing I have taken away from my life and the experiences I have lived through is to live your life to the fullest. I would like to congratulate all my fellow classmates on graduating high school and moving on to the next chapter in your lives. You all will do great things, and I couldn't be more honored to represent such a strong group of people. We did it, and you know what they say, once a Raider, always a Raider. Thank you. Please join me in singing the alma mater.
A couple housekeeping notes here. I'd like to remind everyone that the parade will be leaving your parking lot sharply at 7:20. What we're going to ask is that if you want to participate in the senior parade, line up on State Street facing Maple City Drive. Those of you that choose not to participate, you can go out and take a left out towards Seneca. With that, one more time, I'd like to present to you the Hornell High School Class 2020.